Hi, this is Kelly Kuiper, your Georgetown Township Clerk. I'm here to talk to you about elections and how you can be a part of working them in 2026. There are 17 precincts located in Georgetown Township, each with its own polling location where registered township residents vote on Election Day, plus an absent voter ballot counting board that is located at the township office where all of the absentee ballots are counted on Election Day. In addition, early voting is conducted 9 days prior to a state or federal election at the township office. The township has a population of almost 60,000 residents with 42,213 registered voters to date. The township normally has a very high turnout of voters for elections. Election inspectors are needed to work at the polling locations and the absent voter ballot counting board on each election day, plus to work at the township office during the 9 days of early voting prior to each state and federal election. The township is recruiting people to work as election inspectors at the polls on election days and during the 9 days of early voting. The township is also recruiting people with advanced computer skills to work on the electronic poll book, which is a laptop with election software. Election inspectors will be assigned to a polling location to work. In 2026, there will be 3 election days. Tuesday, May 5, 2026 will be a school election. There will be no early voting for that May election. The next election will be Tuesday, August 4, 2026. That is a state primary election, and there will be early voting Saturday, July 25, 2026 through Sunday, August 2, 2026, and those hours are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The final election of 2026 is Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026, and that is the general election. The early voting for that election will take place Saturday, October 24, 2026, through Sunday, November 1st, 2026, also from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. To work an election, a person must be a U.S. citizen and a resident of Michigan, be at least 16 years old by the election date. If you are age 18 or older, you must be a registered voter in the state of Michigan. You cannot be a challenger, a candidate, a member of a candidate's immediate family, or a member of the local board of canvassers. You cannot be a relative of a candidate who lives in the same household as the candidate. You cannot be convicted of a felony or an election crime. You must state a political party affiliation, and that cannot be independent. You must be certified, which the township provides certification and e-poll book training. Election inspectors are paid to work and are paid to attend training sessions. Finally, you must be willing to work the entire day. There are no part-time shifts. On an election day, the election inspector is required to be at the assigned precinct by 6 o'clock a.m. and work until the election tasks at the poll are completed. Polls close at 8 p.m., but the work includes tasks that must be completed after the closing of polls. There are no part-time shifts, and no one is allowed to leave unless it is an emergency. On an early voting day, the election inspector is required to be at the township office by 7 o'clock a.m. and work until 5 o'clock p.m., or possibly later to complete the work. There are no part-time shifts, and no one is allowed to leave unless it is an emergency. When a person attends a certification training, the entire election day process is explained. There is a manual and a checklist to use. In addition, people are available to help if you have questions. The election day process is as follows. The voter completes an application to vote. Then an election inspector checks their ID and scans the voter's driver's license. The voter's name will appear in the electronic poll book. The voter is then issued a ballot number and given a ballot. At the end of the night, the ballot summary is balanced and the reports are printed. People have the opportunity to provide public service, learn about the election process, and earn money for training and working. The 2026 election worker pay is as follows. For training, there's certification training, which happens once every 2 years. The pay for that is $40. There's also electronic poll book training, and there's one training prior to each election. People have the opportunity to provide public service, learn about the election process, plus earn money for training and working. The 2026 election worker pay is as follows. For training, there is certification training that happens once every 2 years. The pay for that is $40. There is also electronic poll book training. There is one training held prior to each election. The pay for that is also $40. Training is paid along with the wages for working an election day. On election day, an election inspector earns $265 for the day. There is also an election day bonus, which would be $50 if you work both the August 4 and November 3 elections. That amount would be paid after the November election. For early voting, an election inspector will earn $20 per hour, which is a 10-hour shift, and totals $200 per day. There's also early voting bonuses. There's an additional $20 for each day after the second day worked, not compounding and not necessary to be consecutive days. And there's also an additional $50 bonus for each Saturday or Sunday worked. If you are interested, please apply by completing the application, payroll packet, survey of availability, and questionnaire for training, and return them to Georgetown Township. Our office is located at 1515 Baldwin, or if you choose to mail it, that mailing address is 1515 Baldwin, P.O. Box 769, Jenison, Michigan 49429. Note that your application asks for your party affiliation. Independent is not a party, and this must be provided to work for an election. Certification training will begin in December 2025 and January 2026. If you have any questions, please call Jeannie or email the Township office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday at 616-457-2340, extension 224, or you may email her at contact@georgetown-mi.gov.